Greetings, dear friends. I present to your attention the most common malfunctions and breakdowns that occur on the Lada Largus. The length of the list of weak points of Lada Largus was partly foreseen. As expected, 1.6-liter French engines K7M 8CL 86 HP and K4M 16CL 86 HP without excessive trepidation on the part of the owner survive well at 350 to 400 TKM, digesting fuel questionable gas stations. Standard weak points under the hood are periodically flowing crankshaft, oil seals and an expansion tank bursting from pressure, thanks to which many owners recognize the problem of their former Priora. The floating revolutions of the 16-valve K4M arise due to unauthorized air leakage and can be eliminated simply by replacing the throttle O-ring. In 2016, Largus had to bend to Euro 5 standards, having received an electronic gas pedal and, at the same time, a lot of complaints about the unbridled stupidity of the car when trying to accelerate sharply. But, as it turned out, the worst was ahead. In 2017, due to the high cost of components, French motors remained unclaimed at all and were finally replaced by Russian ones with fasteners modified for French fulcrum points. K7M was replaced by WAZ 111 89 87 HP, K4M by WAZ 211 29 106 HP. The weak points of the Kalina Priora engines have long been known, the main of which is unstable quality. There is also good news. There is still nothing to replace the foreign gearbox for WAZ chip, and apparently there is no need. But there were still strategic shifts in the transmission. The absolutely problem-free JH3 gearbox for the Largus of the first years of production actively transmitted vibrations, but that was normal. If the JR5 coupled with a 16-valve engine began to make noise, the most likely it is impossible to do without disassembling the gearbox, because the bearings of the output shafts sometimes fail. Fortunately, such malfunctions are not as common as problems with gear shifting caused by freezing or damaged control cables. One way or another, mandatory checkpoint for used Lada Largus is changing all gears on the go. What the owners of Largus should pay attention to is the state of the CV joints anthers, which is manufacturer thought to cope with the cold in 2014, although especially persistent frosts, as practice has shown, still give free rein to the grease in the hinge. Chronic oil incontinence by the drive oil seals remained unchanged. Triage shows that they can sweat as much as they want without giving a real leak. But it is reckless to lose sight of them. It happens that the loss of oil over time becomes significant and critically unbearable for the gearbox. I don't think there is much to say about the Largus suspension, or rather, I would not want to. Yes, it is almost completely copies that of Renault Logan, which has a reputation for being extremely resistant to insane jumps in Russian pits. Yet, only the first generation of the first phase of Logan gets into my understanding of the phase reliable suspension. Everything that happened next rests only on a stable stereotype, something like a Toyota phenomenon. Therefore, it is more correct to call the Lada Largus chassis energy-intensive with good reliability, since the weak points of the chassis are also known to everyone and they do not show themselves so too often. The most common suspension expense is ball joints, whether they are arm mounts or steering ends. They change easily and inexpensively, but periodically in the range from 50 to 100 TKM. Hub bearings can easily survive up to 200 TKM. Further, it will depend on the principle of rationality, which is clearly lacking for some owners, inspired by the interior spaciousness of the cabin. Some commercial organizations, namely they are often stocked by Largus, change shock absorbers every 80 to 100 TKM, although many private traders do not know where they are at all. Due to overloads, even small ones, springs sometimes break in people, tearing off the support cups from the racks. In general, Lada Largus is a large and roomy car, but still a passenger car. In the Largus Salon, people most of all complain about the lack of comfort and often use obscenities. Uncomfortable seats quickly squeeze and creak on irregularities. The bags now and then themselves lean back, crickets live everywhere. It was also not without design miscalculations. In the summer, after using the air conditioner, condensation accumulates under the feet of the passenger, which in normal cars goes out into the street. Therefore, the floor of the passenger Largus is wet. Did someone really want to buy a malfunctional car for little money and so that everything in it was calculated to the smallest detail, nothing creaked, and was convenient? By the way, among the auxiliary equipment, the air conditioner is the weak link. Freon leaks sometimes happen to him, and you never know where it will explode. From the evaporator tube or through a condenser beaten on the track by flies. In principle, there are not so many electric drives in the car. There is nothing special to break, if only the fragile plastic of the air ducts. There are no serious problems with the body of Lada Largus. Everything is like Renault's. Cracks in the paintwork of the upper part of the body and sluggish mushrooms from chips. And, of course, scratches on the varnish inherent in budget cars and a windshield that is not resistant to cracks. If you look closely at Largus, it becomes clear that it has no direct competitors, at least if you are determined to buy a fresh car for little money. In addition, we have no serious reasons to dissuade you from buying this or that Largus modification. Choose a worthy copy, service it on time, operate it carefully, and worry about major repairs will be in vain on the odometer. It is worth remembering that there are many commercial vehicles on sale with corrected odometers. Considering that only a few pass through official dealerships, it will be necessary to determine the real mileage only by indirect signs. Cars with a mileage of 100 TkM usually have fresh brake discs and tires. By the way, standard Untitled rubber is sometimes sent to the land leaf earlier, as it is poorly protected from the side cuts and hernias. On this, information about the problems of Lada Largus is exhausted. If you know more or do not agree with what you heard, I am waiting for you in the comments.